Welcome to the Influencer Income Show, the only show on social media that teaches you how to become an influencer by hearing from the best that are at the top of their game right now. I'm Danny Dobrzansky, sometimes known around the internet as Cooking in the Yard, and I am really excited for this show today. We have the one and only Tone Ramirez of TFTI Barbecue here with us today, an absolute social media sensation that can't wait to dig into here, and we'll have a lot of great advice come out of this show. I'm sure of it. So, Tone, thank you very much for joining us today and being a guest on the show. Really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So a little bit of a backstory about Tone real quick. Tone is one of those guys that I've been following since like my very first days of content creation, and even probably before, seeing the old videos, you know, the style shift over time a little bit, and, you know, being there since the early days. And it's really weird, a little surreal at times, I will say, to be able to cook and hang out and, you know, maybe drink a beer or two with some of the people that I've seen doing this before I got into it. So again, thank you, Tone. Appreciate being here and looking forward to talking with you.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Tell
our audience here just a little bit about your content first and foremost, what your niche is, and, you know, we'll kind of jump off from there.
Yeah, I'm just backyard barbecue guy. I come from a Cajun and Filipino background. I like to fuse those into my barbecue, and yeah, I create cool recipes. I mean, at least I think they're cool, you know. Yeah, share recipes for the world to try, you know.
Very good. Judging by your following and the way it's growing, you're not the only one that thinks it's cool. So you can you can stop being humble now. We'll go from there. But so how did you get into social media? Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, I was always in social media, like in the car scene and stuff like that. I was a president for 6 years of a car club. But as far as the content creating for like barbecue and stuff, you know, I would always just post pictures and stuff on my personal page. And you know how that goes. Like, people don't want to see that, you know, they want to see family pictures, stuff like that, you know. And then it was my wife. She was like first on TikTok. I didn't believe in TikTok. I thought, you know, there's rumors at the beginning. I'm not going to say that. But, you know, she would send me videos telling me like I should do the same thing. You know, she believed that I can be some big on there, even though I didn't. And it took about a year until I finally started posting it. And I created the page back in 2021. And then it just kind of took off from there. Like I found it fun. And then, you know, started getting creative, you know, investing in a better camera gear and, you know, stuff like that, nerding out, you know, on the camera stuff. And yeah, it just kind of took off.
That's awesome. And just in case there's somebody in the audience right now that isn't currently following you or doesn't know who you are at this point, can you tell us about your follower numbers? Do you have those right off the top of your head?
Yeah, TikTok, I'm about 1.6 million. Instagram's about 560,000. Facebook, I just hit 300K. And I'm around 70,000 on YouTube.
Okay. So here's $1 million question for you. How does that feel? What does that feel like for you to have millions of people watching you every single day?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't see it as like being like a rock star or anything like that, but you do feel the little bit of fame that comes behind all those following, and it's pretty cool. You know, my kids think I'm cool. Their friends and their teachers think I'm cool. So it's like, you know, hey, I'm here for the ride, man.
Absolutely. Take it as far as you possibly can, and, you know, take it even a little bit further maybe. But, you know, you mentioned your family right off the bat, the social media, content creation, and all of the other things that you have going on kind of in your universe right now. We'll touch on that in a little bit. How do you manage the time of the business versus the personal, and, you know, making sure that you're allocating time to both? What does that look like for you?
Like, as far as like me cooking and you know, stuff like that, like I kind of treat this like work, you know. I drop my kids off and I go to town. I answer emails for the first couple hours. I start, you know, answering DMs, stuff like that. Then, you know, I create content, and then by the time like, you know, me or my girl picks up the kids, I'm done. And, you know, food's ready in the warmer, and that's our dinner. And I kind of just shut it off, every few minutes where I get time, or, every hour I get time, I check my messages and stuff like that. But I balance it well. I think, I'm always there for my kids. I'm not there, I'm
Yeah.
at their games, and my kids are real active. My daughter does dance, softball, swimming. My son does football, swimming. So I'm there all the time. I don't miss anything.
One of the best parts about being a full-time content creator, in my opinion, is that extra time that sometimes in a corporate world you wouldn't be able to get otherwise. Tell us, how long have you been full-time, and what was your background before social media and content creation?
May of last year is when I went full time. And then before that, I was a security services technician at Meta. Uh, People thought it was like the online security. So everybody was like, "Hey, man, like I'm not locked out of my Facebook account," it wasn't like that. I was like physical, like so. I would
Uh-huh.
work on their card access and camera systems, and I was like one of the break fix guys, all in the Northern California campuses. It was the best job I ever had. Like having all that food and all that stuff right at your fingertips is pretty
Yeah.
cool, man.
So walk me through your thought process then of leaving the best job that you ever had. You're in the glass tower, working for one of the best companies in the world. And how hard was that decision, and what went into it to really make that jump for you?
It was real hard. It took, I would say, over a year of planning, like you have to get your finances straight,
Mm-hmm.
like anybody, especially living here in California, you got a lot of bills, and I would never take a risk that I didn't have some kind of backup for, you know what I mean? And I prepared myself pretty well. I think I prepared myself well enough where I wasn't scared that I wasn't going to make enough money. It was more so like leaving something that was, steady and consistent,
Mm-hmm.
and then just, like I'm jumping into like something of the unknown, not all that stuff was guaranteed at the beginning too. Like
Right.
I had like, maybe a 6 months planned out in deals. And I feel like once I made that transition, like the hustle mode turned on, and it was like everything was now I have to,
Mm-hmm.
versus
Yep.
like before when I had a job, it's like, oh, I got this backup job. I could do this. I don't have to do that.
It's amazing what happens when that safety net disappears, isn't it? The
Yeah.
the switch that flips, and now it's just go time. And especially with the family, right, with other mouths to feed and other people depending on you, you go even harder that way. And
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
that's one of the things that I noticed that keeps me going too. And if it were just me, I feel like I'd probably work 24 hours a day anyway, just because I love what I'm doing. But then that goes into hyperdrive, right, because there's other mouths to feed and people depending on you, and
Yeah.
want to make sure you make the best of this decision, right?
Yeah. And sometimes you got to shut it all off too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That
It'll
that's
drive you
that's really good
crazy.
advice too. That is. And with social media is known anyway as there could be some pretty dark places and pretty dark things that are said or whatever at times, and it's can be a lot of toxicity that you see and exposed to, maybe more than anybody else on a daily basis as well. So that break is always important, and
It
thinking about
is.
your time away. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
You definitely got to separate the two, your personal life versus the social media thing. There's some people out there that like that attention, like to put their personal business out there, for pity, I guess. I don't know why they do it, I'm just not, it's not me,
Yeah.
and like being able to turn that switch off is one of the best things about being an influencer, because once you give them your personal business and all that, like you can't turn it off anymore, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
they know everything about you. They want more,
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
like to keep it
There's
private.
and that's one of the great things about having a niche. I've got to imagine, like the backyard barbecue, where it's you're not having to record yourself walking down the street and telling a story about the cars that are passing by, right? You've got something that you're creating and
Yeah.
that you're showing off. So love it, absolutely love it. The motivation, the drive, the focus, determination. Those are all things that are really, really important for this world and content creation. And if we switch gears just a little bit here, what would you tell somebody from an advice standpoint? Somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to be an influencer." What's the first thing that you tell them right off the bat?
ask yourself if that's what you really want to do, like, did you really prepare to make that decision, like,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of work to it. Like, you got to invest in yourself 100% and believe in yourself. You can't just go into this doubting it, like, oh, I think I can do it,
Hmm.
because now, especially in this niche, it's tripled, since I started as far as people trying to do it. So it's saturated, and you really got to be something different, and you really got to think about what you want your niche to be and how you're going to be different. So I think really thinking about if that's really what you want to do before doing it is real
Yep.
key.
Absolutely. And if you were somehow able to know what you know now, but starting from zero or building something maybe completely different, would you? Or, if you had that job in the cushy office, would you stay there and, understanding the social media landscape as it is right now?
Knowing what I know now,
Hmm.
oh, I would 100% have done it earlier, you know,
Yeah.
as soon as the internet came out, like, I look up to a lot of these guys that, started it years ago,
Hmm.
and yeah, like, I love what I do, man. I feel like I have the best job in the world times
Yeah.
10 compared to me working at Meta.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes I feel like I'm retired, in some way, dude. So I would never change this shit for nothing, man.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's a pretty good world. It's a great world to
It
be
is.
to be able to call it your job and do this full time for sure. Going back to the beginning, do you remember your first monetized deal or first sponsored post that you did, or one of your first?
Um, it wasn't like it was one of those things. So it was with a brand called Ukiah that make the fire pits and stuff. That they had gave me a fire pit. They were like one of the first people that like to really give me stuff. And then like I remember seeing the package and it said like influencer package or something. I was like, holy shit, I'm a freaking influencer, man. But they had gave me that, and they had gave me this. It wasn't like a competition, but they were like, if you ever have any videos that hit in a million or like over a million views on TikTok, we'll pay you $1,000. And I was like,
Okay.
hell yeah! So it was
Yeah.
kind of like it was one of those things that motivated me to like make a dope ass video. And then my first one that did that was my Cajun honey butter salmon. I think
Oh
that
yeah.
was one of my very first viral videos, and it was like when I was doing the voiceovers, and then that ended up hitting a million, and like they couldn't believe it. And then I think it was like it took a while for them to send out that check, but I was like, wow, $1,000, dude, off
Yep.
a video. Like that was pretty cool, man.
To feed your family something that you're going to be cooking anyway, right? And then you
Yeah,
do it in a fun way, and then it's an excuse to have to go light the fire pit and be in the backyard. That's that's
yeah,
that's awesome. That's a lot of fun when things like that happen. Really smart marketing strategy too, right? It wasn't
yeah,
just a gifted thing of hoping that you would use it or whatever,
yeah.
and then to
And
put some
my
incentive
account
behind it.
wasn't even that big at the time, too. I
Mm.
think I was like 20,000 followers on TikTok. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
So it worked out. It was a win-win for me because like that video kind of blew me up, and,
Yep.
and I got $1,000.
Yeah, there you go. And that was before creator funds and stuff like that, or did they have that back then? If you were,
They did, but I mean, TikTok never really paid that much. At least for
yeah,
me, it didn't.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a cool way to incentivize creators to make cool things with your product. Absolutely. So when you're looking at deals right now, I'm sure you have them coming in all the time. What are you looking for specifically when somebody offers you something? What are you looking for, or what are you most likely to counter back on or want to negotiate on? What are some of your deal breakers or non-negotiables?
So I look at one of the first things I do is like before I even respond is if like this is a brand that I want to back up and I want to put my name on. They're
Hmm.
reaching out to me for a reason because they want my me to back their product up. And if it's something I don't like or that I wouldn't use and that I wouldn't, myself, I wouldn't want to have others. I feel like that's why, like, I'm pretty good at the influencing thing. Like when it comes to me posting something and people buy it all the time is because
Hmm.
they believe like I'm not just like taking any brand deal, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then the deal breaker for me is like, let's say I do like the brand and I do want to work with them. The deal breaker for me is not letting me have full creativity on the video I'm going to make. You know, I want to do the video the way I want to do it, the way I know my following likes to see it. And that's the way it works for me. If they try to like get me to do a video a different way, like doing voiceovers, stuff like that, then that's a deal breaker for me. I want full creativity on my videos.
That's some great advice also for brands out there, or if there's anybody that's running campaigns for influencers right now. That's probably the most important thing that they need to hear and take a lesson from. Some do it very, very well. Most do it very, very well.
Yeah.
However, when somebody reaches out to somebody like you, let's say, you know, with millions of followers, and you have a very clear, precise, and concise way of creating your content. It follows a similar template each time. It's predictable. It's, you know, what's coming. And that's one of the, I would assume one of the secret sauces of your videos is your audience knows what to expect. And then a brand comes in and says, no, 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 we want you to do something completely different, or say something different, or do this. And the video doesn't do well. And then, you know, on top of that, it's a paid partnership. So it's not going to do as well typically anyway.
Yeah.
And then from there, right? So that's one of the biggest things that brand campaign managers can take away from this is let the creator do what they do best. If they don't want you to do what you do best, there's other people out there that can do what they're looking for. They should go find them and get them to do it to get the best bang for their buck.
Yeah, they need to go after the creators because they like their videos, not their following. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
if you're coming at me for my following, you just want me to post whatever your way, then yeah, I'm cool with that. You know, I want to be able to do it my way. And
that's right.
You know,
yep. And that's how you got to where you are, is by doing it your way. And that's not to say that it's easy either, because all that time there's tests in the content and changes and tweaks along the way to really dial in the audience. And I think you do that among the best out there, of the way that you've switched up your content just little by little over time. I know you, like you said, you used to do voiceovers and then you moved away from that, but even just the camera shots and that sort of thing. Maybe this is just my eye. I've noticed them change a little bit over time to get to where you're at right now, and just do an absolutely fantastic job of that.
thank you, man. I appreciate that, dude.
Absolutely. So if we change gears here just a little bit and move away from social media itself, but maybe to some of the things that social media has afforded you and given you the opportunity to do because you're making these videos and because you work so hard and do so well, you know, at your job now. What are some of those things? What does that look like in your year that you're doing that you wouldn't have the opportunity to do otherwise?
Man, a lot, dude. I'm able to have my kids do all these after school activities and being able to afford all that. My girl, she's able to work part time now. She's going to go full time, just working for me come January. So
That's awesome.
That's awesome, you know. And being able to take my family on vacations, man. I go on a lot of vacations. I don't know if you notice, man, but you got to with this, because like I get stuck on, you get stuck on your phone all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and when I go on vacations, I like to break off that, break away from it. And that's one of those things, man, like, is getting away from it all sometimes, and being able to take vacations where I want to go, and, doing all that. It's amazing, man.
That's great. That's amazing. And if we move to more of the professional side of it, there's personal and professional to everything that we do, right? We've talked about that a bunch. Some of the events and the different brands and, people that are flying you out places to do different things. What's been your favorite so far? What do you look forward to doing maybe every year or doing again?
I can't wait for the Key West, the rub and tug come August. That was amazing. Out in Key West, Florida, doing the lobster diving, the fishing, and then like all those OGs that are there. I got to meet like Heath Riles, Cosmo Q, so many people. Matt Pittman. I met him before, but I got to meet him again there, and he's a cool dude, man. Love that guy.
Nice. That's awesome.
it was just being able to rub shoulders and elbows with all those OGs, at an event like that in Key West, and
Yeah.
then them themselves are saying like they never done anything like this. So
Yeah.
that's one of those ones that I look forward to every year.
That's
That
pretty
and then
awesome.
and then the Texas meetups too. Those are
Hmm.
super fun. Like
The
like
live
because
fire
there's so,
cooking. Yeah.
yeah, because there's a lot of us that we're all like, part of the barbecue family, like not like circle or whatever, but kind of like our circle. But being able to just hang out there for a weekend and just cook and shoot the shit, like I
Yeah.
love that.
The camaraderie
Yeah.
amongst the creator community is really just, it's incredible. And a lot of that comes from, you've got people from all walks of life, all over the country, all over the world in some cases, doing the same things, and kind of going through the same things at the same time too, right? The ups and the downs of the business and so forth. So, it's, people have a lot to bond over, and getting together, with your buddies a couple times a year to cook and hang out, and sometimes feed other people, sometimes feed yourselves. It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun, and it's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah. What about you, man? I know this is about me, but like, what's one of
Huh.
your favorite things you like to go like every year you look forward to?
Yeah. So every February, I go out to California for this party that this guy has in his backyard. I am lucky enough to get the invites. That's the I in TFTI for Tone's birthday, and it seems like it grows every year, right? There's what, 20 or 30 people, 40 people that go and cook and hang out, and then there's more that come over for the party, and 3 days, 3 days of standing around a fire. We cook and we eat basically everything that showed up on Noah's Ark. There's gators and goats and pigs and cows and
Yeah.
octopus and seafood, and you name it. That wasn't even the tip of the iceberg there. So heading out that way is a highlight of every year that I can look forward to. And then, there's the other events that come up throughout the year. Last month I was at the Kentucky Derby cooking with
Oh
Steph
yeah,
from
that's right. Yeah.
406 Barbecue. And
Yeah.
man, what a time that was. I can honestly say that I don't think I've ever worked as hard over the course of a weekend. It's more hours on my feet, etc., cooking the barbecue there. But I don't think I've had more fun cooking either. It was a blast,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
experience and everything. And that's one of the things that I found personally from cooking in the yard, that there's so many things that I've been lucky enough to be given access to. Like, I never thought I'd go to the Kentucky Derby. I never thought I'd go to a NASCAR race for free, be flown
Right.
different places. Sometimes there's expectations involved from a brand, but oftentimes there's not. It's done as a thank you. And, those types of experiences, aside from, largely, Tone, what you've covered of the time with the family and the freedom that it gives you, those are definitely highlights for me that I've been, lucky enough to have. So that's what I look forward to. So when you look ahead in the next year or so, or 5 years from now, or even longer, maybe, what are some goals that you've got set for yourself? Maybe other projects that you're working on that you may be able to share, not right now, but what's the future look like for you?
I'm currently in the stages. Like, I'm halfway through it, but not a lot of people know about it. But my cookbook, that'll be out
Nice.
by May next year.
Awesome.
It's the same authors that did the Derek Wolf's cookbook and like
Very cool.
Brad Pro's cookbook. So that,
Congrats.
looking forward to that. Thank you, man. Thank you. I didn't really want to do it. I turned them down a few times. I felt like I kind of regret it. I wish I did it just to got it over with, because
Uh-huh.
it's a lot of work. But I'm
It's a
kind of,
tremendous amount of work.
yeah, like the thing that's motivating me to do it is for my mother. She was a big cook and she used to collect cookbooks. So I feel like she is just gonna like roll over in her grave once that comes out, man.
It's amazing. It's such a great story to be able to do something that's going to be around forever, right?
Yeah.
That's never going away. Like, that's not
Yeah.
it's not gonna ever be gone. And it's a lot of work, takes a lot of time, but it's all worth it. Congrats, man. I'm happy for you that you're getting that done.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. That, and I have a sauce coming out, and I want to work on my seasonings. I already have like a bunch of them that I've tested myself. I just got to get the ball rolling for those. But one of the biggest things I want to do, like I would say in the next 5 years, is get out of California. I'm ready to go to like Texas, man.
I knew you were going to say Texas. I knew you were, yeah. The income tax is a little bit better in Texas, I understand, than California, among probably some other things.
It is expensive out here, man, especially in Northern California, dude.
Right. And, again, as a content creator, right, you're not going to be making any less money. The brands aren't going to pay you any less because you live in some place that's less expensive than California. So,
Exactly.
that all works out. Take it from a guy that knows firsthand of living in a place with a low living expense is it's pretty good place to be. So
Hell yeah, man. That's what I can't wait for.
yeah, that's awesome. I know you did a video recently with your son in there, affectionately known as a Little Invite from one of the birthday parties, where he showed up, did a little cameo in the video. Does he like doing that sort of thing? Are the kids into it? They out there with you?
Yeah, whenever you see it, because they made it in a bunch of videos, a lot of my old ones, and that's all them. I don't force anything on them. They come up, they're watching me. Like I see them on the side of my eye. I'm doing the bite shot, and then they're like, I want to try it. I want to do the bite shot, and I let them. And then if it works out, cool. Then I put it in the video.
There you go. Are you coaching them along the way? No, you have to turn this way, and not. No, I'm just kidding. That's
yeah. It's just kind of like a one take, and if it works out, it works out.
Well, that's part of the fun of working with the kids too, right? If they do something cute, then it's a kid, and you put it in, and it works out all the same. So that's really cool. So we've talked about your upcoming cookbook. We've talked about the sauce and the seasonings line. Is there anything that's going on right now that you would like to promote or to talk about that you've got working on, or you want to get the world to go check out?
No, nothing right now, man. There's just a lot of things in the works I can't really talk about. A lot of big things with my YouTube too. You're gonna see a lot more long form. Yeah, you know what? I can speak on that. Like, I'm doing some stuff with Char Griller. That'll be long form. It'll be like 10 episodes.
Very cool.
That'll be on YouTube, and yeah, and then that's kind of like my focus now is trying to get more long form content out on my YouTube and start monetizing on there more. Like I just became a YouTube partner, so I'm starting to get monetized on there, and I definitely want to just go hard on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's good monetization still on YouTube, where it seems like at this point some of the other platforms have fallen off, and who knows with the impending things that are going around with TikTok right now. Who knows what that's going to make the landscape look like. It's going to be certainly less competitive. Facebook has and Instagram have one less competitor to worry about in the United States at that point, but YouTube long form seems like it's the best way to go and monetize at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, YouTube is where all the big money's at. You know what I mean? Like you can only be on there and be big. There's a lot of creators that I know that are like that. Like Jeremy Yoder. Like he has a decent following on other platforms, but his main platform that he focuses on is YouTube. That's kind of what I want to do. Like I already established myself in all the short form platforms, and I'm taking on YouTube right now, really trying to push hard on that.
Absolutely. Are you noticing it being a completely different animal from a filming perspective? And of course the editing takes longer, but what does the whole thing look like?
It is, yeah. I don't actually do it myself, so I have people that are doing it for me. But yeah, like I can only imagine me trying to do it myself. It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of footage you have to cut through, and all that stuff, and like, I mean, it's a lot of work just doing a 1 minute reel, and versus like doing a freaking 15 to 30 minute video.
Yeah.
And then adding all the effects, and then the sound, and then the thumbnail, the intro, the outro. Like, it's an animal, dude.
That's right. Yeah, and it makes sense if you got the ability to do something and have somebody else do that for you, then it makes it all worthwhile. Just create the content and
it's kind of what you got to do, man. You got to invest in yourself, you know. Like,
That's right.
and I feel like me paying somebody to do it for me is an investment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to myself, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, as we move towards the end of our show here, this is actually a really good time and it fits really well in your day to day, in your professional day to day, we'll say the social media. What do you spend the majority of your time doing? What is Tone doing the most hours of every day?
Is probably editing videos. That takes up most of my time. Cooking, I mean, cooking and filming also takes time. I end up like sometimes doing two cooks a day. You know, I'll skip a day, then do like three cooks the next day. So I have a lot of content that just kind of sits there in the back burner that needs to be edited.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend a lot of late nights, like once the kids go to bed, editing, you know, and
Yep.
so I feel like, yeah, editing and just the creating content is
Yep.
what takes most of my time. And then I try to go on, you know, the social media and engage I definitely engage in my content and I try to engage on other people's, but sometimes I just don't have the time, you know.
Yeah.
I don't have the time to scroll. Like
Yeah.
I want to answer my messages that I need to for my following and DMs and stuff like that. And then sometimes that's the only time I have. And then I log off and then I'm either editing or I'm doing shit with my kids and my family.
It's a lot different at a couple million followers versus a couple thousand followers, isn't it? Where engaging in, if you have a smaller account, engaging is everything. Like getting your name out there, kind of making those social media friends or whatever that, you get that engagement back and forth with. But, between the DMs and the emails and the comments that come in, one video goes viral and you've got a couple thousand comments right off the bat. And it's like, what do I do with 2,000 or 3,000 comments in one day? Like, it's.
I just posted that crispy pork belly on TikTok like day before yesterday. And like I woke up like yesterday morning and then it was like 500 messages, like comments. I was like, what the hell was this? And then it was that video. It took off, like overnight. And then I was like, damn, like in TikTok, like because like I have the biggest following on there, like I do the least engaging on there because it's just too much, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my main platform that I feel like that I focus on the most right now is Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'll post on TikTok and not really engage so much, but Instagram I definitely post and engage as much as I can on there.
It seems like that's one of the keys to Instagram is to be able to engage just as much as possible. And that helps more and more build that fan base. It's just a different demographic from all the platforms. And it seems like Instagram is the one where if you can get away with that for so long and then the engagement stops on your videos, right? So you got to keep up with it and stay on it.
You do. You got to be real consistent on there, man.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Well, Tone, we've talked about a lot here. We've covered almost everything. I've got one more thing for you, and you probably know what's coming here. Can I get you to say it? Can you look into the camera and say it for me?
That's money.
There he is, the man himself. Can I get an "oh, that's good," by the way?